I've been in practice for 35 years now, and I've seen a lot of patients, I've seen a lot of crazy things, and I'm more firmly convinced every week that goes by that the ultimate cause of disease is stress.
90% of what takes people to the doctor is stress-related illnesses. They leave with antidepressants. They leave with every kind of medication.
We have three basic stresses. We have physical stress like accidents, injuries, falls, traumas. We have chemical stress like bacteria and viruses and hormones and foods and heavy metals and hangovers and blood sugar levels. And then we have emotional stress, and that's family tragedies, loss, job, finances. And all of those things knock our brain and body out of balance.
When you perceive a threat, in the old days in school, we referred to that as activating the adrenal system, fight or flight. If you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, how much energy do you want to make available to run away from that tiger? I hope you get the answer, and the answer is, I want 100% of the energy to run away from the tiger.
Centuries, thousands of years ago, that was maybe appropriate because there was literally a potentially life-threatening situation with a wild animal, let's say. But now it's your spouse, or it's your boss, or it's rent that's due in a week. And yet the system reacts in the same way as though it's a life-threatening situation, so you're still releasing cortisol, you're still releasing adrenaline, noradrenaline into the system.
And if you're running a fight or flight response all the time, by definition, you are mobilizing resources from your gut, from your elimination system, from your immune system, from your higher brain centers, and putting that energy in your muscles to fight for your life. That means your memory is not all that good, your concentration is down, you can't digest your food properly, you can't eliminate toxins properly, and your immune system is compromised chronically, all the time.
Stress hormones inhibit the immune system. How effective? When doctors want to transplant an organ from person A to person B, they want to transplant a heart or a kidney or a lung. The doctor gives the patient the stress hormones and then transplants the organ. Why? Once the organ is put in, the foreign organ, and the immune system is now shut down by stress hormones, then I'm not rejecting the foreign organ. Unfortunately, in today's world, the stresses are 24/7, 365. They never let up.
Good evening. Just ahead of the spring and summer travel season, we got a sobering update on Zika today.
The net result is illness and disease. That is the only consequence that will come from the chemistry of fear. And yet, look at the world today.
ISIS's so-called caliphate is under attack.
The Dow plunged another 260 points. New losses for Americans and their 401ks.
When it comes to stress, the tool that's absolutely changed my life, and I know millions of others, is meditation.
Meditation has been around for thousands of years. The mind is yapping all the time, and it's telling us generally scary and limiting things. The mind is wonderful when you're using it as a tool. It's not so great when it's calling the shots. In the very first research on meditation done by a mentor of mine, Dr. Herbert Benson, he said, well, it shuts down the fight or flight response, the fear response, and it stimulates the parasympathetic or relaxing nervous system of the body. And that's what heals. So at the very most basic level, meditation relieves stress.
If you wake up in the morning, you take a shower, you take a bath, because you don't want to take yesterday's dirt with you out into the day. But if I wake up in the morning and I immediately go to television or radio or the computer or newspaper, and I'm taking in all the stress of the world, then I might cleanse my body, but my mind is carrying so much stress. So that's why meditating in the morning is as important as taking a bath, purifying your mind, purifying your consciousness.
There are many kinds of meditation. There are meditations that involve self-reflection. So you sit quietly and you ask yourself, who am I? There are forms of meditation that are called self-questioning, which is questioning your beliefs. Third form of meditation is what is these days called mindfulness, which is a terrible word because you're not using your mind when you're practicing awareness. The awareness of a thought is not a thought. Then there is what is called transcendence, which is usually using a technique like a mantra. The mantra is kind of a sound that competes with your thoughts and ultimately takes you to a place where there is no thought and no mantra, and you're just left with awareness. So as we practice these techniques, we get in touch by and by with our core being or core consciousness, which in spiritual traditions is often called the soul.
Your pituitary gland does amazing things when you are in meditation. It releases oxytocin, dopamine, relaxin, serotonin, endorphins. Everything good that your body can make is released when you make this spiritual connection. There really is this internal process that we can flip on like a light switch. We can flip on these juices of life if we just take a moment to connect. It doesn't have to be meditation or prayer. It could be going for a walk in nature. But your mind needs to quiet, your breathing needs to slow, and you want to feel that unshakable peace.
We did an amazing study just a little ways back at one of our advanced workshops. We took 120 people and we wanted to measure their circulating cortisol levels and a chemical called immunoglobulin A, or IgA. We put them through 4.5 days of training, and at the end of 4.5 days, we measured to see if there were any epigenetic changes or chemical changes that took place by their internal work. We found that the majority of people's cortisol levels diminished, which means they were no longer in survival, they were no longer stressed. But the relevant thing that happened was that their IgA levels went from about 51.5 to 83, right to the ceiling of what's considered high, and some people were up in the hundreds. Now, IgA is the primary defense against bacteria and viruses. It's greater than any flu shot.
The best part about meditation is it doesn't cost anything. You can do it anywhere, anytime. Just quiet the mind and get rid of that excess mental baggage.